Howdy everybody, and welcome back to our Legacy of the Wizard aRPG tutorial. So we're pretty much going to pick up right back where we left off with figuring out how to get the inventory and everything running. So let's get cracking. So I was thinking about this, and as soon as I thought about it, just realized I don't have to bother actually putting an object for every single one of these, just the ones we're actually going to bother using. So that makes it a little bit easier. This item is number 12 and this one is number 14. But then we have another big one down here, which is number 0. And why do we have a 0 there? Because when the character is down here and clicks, that will clear out their inventory. That's something that we need to be used. But next up, we need to actually get out of the inventory room. So how in the world are we going to actually do that? Well, we are going to create a door. So let's go down here and create object underscore door. Whoops. Sprite door. And back to our selectable object real quick and turn off visible on that. We don't want to see the boxes in the room. Same with that. Don't need you visible either. And actually with the door, I don't know if you need anything with that one either. Let me check real quick. Yeah, you don't need anything on that one either. So it just exists because we're actually going to edit the variable's name in the room to make it easier to jump through and whatnot. So what we're going to do here is add in a little thing here just before we clamp our movement in the room that will detect if we have actually moved on to a door surface. So back in our inventory selector object, we go over to our movement right before the clamp and say if place underscore meeting xy object underscore door, then do stuff. Fade underscore transition trans underscore mode dot go to arm underscore over world image underscore speed is equal to 0 and alarm 0 is equal to sec times 5. What is this about? It's basically just stopping our player from moving around or anything or interacting in general until the transition is over. By the time 5 seconds are gone, we'll have already moved out of the room and we'll be in the next place, so whatever the alarm here is doesn't matter. So that why we put this here, it's so that we can move onto the spot where the door is and detect that we've touched the door, but it won't be visible that we moved onto that spot because we'll be placed back to the pixel before you touch the door anyways. So come over here, put in our door object. We can stretch it like that, and there we go. So if we come back into our inventory here, character can move around, select some stuff, and they can exit. But we haven't set up the camera or anything yet, so we'll have to do that. And we also need to set up our stat bar so that it'll show up what our stats are and whatnot as well. So let's come into the stat bar here. Now that we actually have an inventory to display, we can set up the code in here so that we can actually do it. So before we had just set up the image speed and the position, we're also going to add in a variable here. Selection is equal to 0 because that'll be whatever item you're currently selecting in your inventory. We'll need some more. We'll need a step event. We'll need a draw event because we want to override. because we don't want it to be drawing normally. We want it to be drawing on the GUI. So what do we want to draw? Well, there's a few problems with the way I've set things up, because just in general I messed up some stuff when I was setting things up. Namely, I thought everything was on a 16 by 16 grid, but it turned out that everything is on a 4 by 4 grid. So a lot of things in the game are 4 pixels off of their normal position. So that's one of the things I'm going to have to do in the later on here, is we're going to have to shift the entire room, the overworld room, 4 pixels up so that it all matches properly, for one thing. And we'll get to that in a bit. So draw the stat bar at our XY, which is 0 and -4. And that'll look exactly like it already does. But more importantly, we want to draw our stats. So we had a couple of different things we want to set up. So region stats in the region var underscore major underscore pip is equal to object under stats dot life div 10 var underscore minor underscore pip is equal to object underscore stats dot life underscore mod 10. So div 10 gives us the major amount. So if we have 92 and we div it by 10, that would give us 9. Then 92 mod 10, of course, gives us 2. So that'll give us 9 major pips and 2 minor pips. For var I equals 0, while I is less than underscore major underscore pip I plus plus. And we want to draw underscore sprite underscore pips 0.8 plus I times 4 13. Pips is this, just our pips. So 0 is the reds, 1 is the blue. And this draws the major pips on the top and the minor pips on the bottom. So we just do this again, except now your minor pips. And we set you as 1. 8 plus I times 4, 13 would be 21 now. And this would be for life to start us off with. Life, not live. And we're going to do this all over again. Except now it's going to be magic. And there's a few different variables for position. So we'll just do that again. Same thing here, same thing here, same thing here. Just change the X and the Y position. Well, just the X position. The Y position will stay the same. Then we're going to do it again. Except now it's for keys. And again, X position changes. And one more time for gold. X position change. If you say that fast enough, it sounds like you're saying exposition change. But I'm not expositioning anything. So let's get rid of those stats there, make it easier to work with. And pound region inventory. So we want to draw our inventory sprites. Well, can't see it there, but wish I could make that bigger to look at. our inventory will show up the inventory, well, sprites that show which one of our inventory items we have will be available right there in the corner. So just going to want to draw those as well. So draw underscore sprite underscore inventory underscore items, ds underscore list underscore find underscore value, object underscore stats dot inventory underscore equip underscore 0 198 12. So you know how the other time I showed you that you could do object underscore stats dot inv underscore equipped. You could do that. This is the same thing as doing this, except this only can find a value. It can't write a value to the position. So if you want to be safe and only be able to find a value or only be able to write a value, then you just use the actual function. But generally I'll use the I still don't know what that little bar is called. I'll use that accessor to get the variables. It's only really a problem if you don't know what you're doing with it. So count into region, and we're going to change those as well. 1, 2, 214, 232, and those stay in the same place. Then switch selection underscore case 1 break and put in some variable sprite underscore inventory selector 0 198 12. I could have done this with a for loop too, I guess, but I just used the switch because it was easy to visualize. As a matter of fact, even I'll just get rid of that there and put that there as well to make it even easier to look at. And we do the same thing again here. Just copy, paste, 1, 2, 3. We don't have a value for 0 because when it's in the 0 position, we don't want it to be selecting anything at all. So it'll just be over. You won't be able to see it at all. It won't be drawn. So just do 214 and 232. And that's everything for the drawing. So last but not least, we have the step. And again, this should be familiar code to you. Yeah, you remember me talking about this a little bit last time about how the audio tick selection is way too long, but yeah, well, I'm not editing it because it's not really my job to be editing the sound file, I think. Not unless you were paying me for this, in which case I would bother doing it, but if object underscore input dot write pass, then selection equals wrap plus plus selection 0 to 3 and play our audio tick. Oh yeah, forgot we're going to need our pause objects as well. I'll get into that in just a second. Well, actually I won't get into that. We'll actually put this on the back burner until we actually get around to that. So just put K on there. Control K will automatically comment everything and make it easier to work with. But if we go back into our inventory here, if we go back into the game, should be able to see the inventory stuff showing up on the screen. So see right there, gold, our major pips. Magic is now full. Life, we only have 1. And whenever we click on these things, we got them. And of course, we can go back into the overworld. Alright, great. I think that's everything we need for this Impetude. Let's see, how long have I been recording? Yeah, 14 minutes sounds about right. So I think that's good for now. And good luck with your programming.